We shall discuss about different modes of asexual reproduction, and this is called fragmentation. In fragmentation, the parent body breaks into fragments or pieces, and each of the fragment has the potential to develop into new individual. And this particular type is called pedal laceration. It occurs in sea anemone. So what happens here is fragmentation, or in a pedal laceration, what happens is this occurs in many genera of sea anemones. So, lobes are constricted off from the pedal disc, and each of the lobe grows mesenteries and tentacles to form a new sea anemone. So, this is a part shown. So, this is a fragment or a bit from the parent body. So, this is sea anemone. So, pedal, it refers to podia. It is equivalent to podia, the feet. So, from the bottom, a pedal or feet, it breaks off from the parent body. So, and many bits are broken off, and each one can develop into the whole body. So, this is very common in sea anemone. We shall move on to the next slide, and this is called apolysis in Taeniasolium or tapeworm. So, in tapeworm or Taeniasolium, it is called gravid. Gravid refers to mature proglottids. Proglottids refer to segments. So these are the oldest segments at the posterior end of the strobila, the entire body. Strobila refers to the entire body. So these are the gravid or mature segments which are cut off from the parent body. So the gravid proglottids are regularly cut off either singly or in groups. Either they break off from the parent body individually or in groups also. So this process is called apolysis. This is a very significant process, since it helps in transferring the developed embryos from the primary host, that is from man, to find a secondary host, pig. You know that this is tapeworm. It has two hosts. One is man, the other host is pig. So the half of the life cycle it occurs in man, and the remaining it continues in pig's body. So after the half of the life cycle, the primary host it completes its half the life cycle in primary host, that is in man. So the rest it occurs in the body of the pig. So for that, this process is very much useful, that is cutting off the mature gravid or the mature segments from the body. They broke off, and these broken bits then enter into secondary host, pig. So this is called apolysis. It is in tapeworm. So we shall move on to the next one. This is called regeneration. Again, it refers to regrowth in the injured region. Regeneration, re means again, generation, formation. So it's a regrowth in the injured region. It was first studied in Hydra by Abraham Tremblay in 1740. Regeneration is of two types. It is morphollaxis or epimorphosis. So these are the two types. Regeneration is of two types, morphollaxis and epimorphosis. In morphollaxis, whole body grows from a small fragment. Example, Hydra planaria. So each small fragment from the parent body develops into the entire organism. So this is called morphollaxis. So this is the illustration that shows how regeneration occurs in Hydra. So when Hydra is accidentally cut into several pieces like this, each piece can regenerate the lost parts and develop into the whole individual or new individual. The parts usually retain their original polarity, that is top and bottom, and with oral ends by developing tentacles, and aboral ends by producing basal disc. This is oral end, this is aboral end. So this is the way how Hydra regenerates. So regeneration here it refers to many pieces broken from the parent body, and each bit grows the entire the lost parts or the entire individual. So each one it can lead its own life. So this is about regeneration in Hydra. So we shall move on to the next type. Here it is regeneration in humans, and particularly this type is called reparative. So epimorphosis, it is the replacement of lost body parts. It is of two types, that is reparative and restorative. Epimorphosis, it is the replacement of the lost body parts. It is of two types, reparative and restorative. Reparative, as the name refers to, repair. So the injured part, it can be regenerated. Example, human liver. Any damage that occurs in the liver can be repaired. It can repair itself. It has the tissues of the human liver has the capacity to regenerate. Okay, any due to any accident or any injury, if any small portion is damaged or injured, that can be regenerated. So this is a kind of regeneration in humans called reparative. So we shall discuss now what is restorative. So restore, you can understand, that is, it refers to any small portion which is severed from the body, from the organism. It can develop the body parts which are lost or damaged can be developed again. Example, starfish and tail of wall lizard. It's a very common example. Whenever we try to hit the lizard, it tries to escape, leaving the tail behind. After some time, it can develop. So this kind of regeneration is called restorative. It is common in starfish and also in wall lizard. So we shall move on to the next type. This is sexual reproduction. So far we have discussed about asexual reproduction. Asexual also, we discussed different methods. And so let us start with sexual reproduction. It involves fusion of male and female gametes to form a diploid zygote. This diploid zygote develops into a new organism. So in asexual, we discussed that it involves a single parent, no gametes also involved, but here sexual reproduction, two parents involved, and also the involvement of two gametes, male and female gametes, which fuse together in a process called fertilization, forming a diploid zygote that can develop into a new organism. So it leads to genetic variation. There you remember, you compare every time with the asexual reproduction with asexual sexual reproduction. In asexual, we discussed it is uniparental inheritance and no genetic variation. That is, no chromosomes are transferred or no genes are transferred, but here it leads to, in sexual reproduction, it leads to genetic variation. The types of sexual reproduction is seen in animals or syngamy, that is fertilization, and the other one is called conjugation. So the types of sexual reproduction are syngamy, that is fertilization, and conjugation. In syngamy, what happens is the fusion of two haploid gametes takes place to produce a diploid zygote. So depending upon the place where the fertilization takes place, it is again of two types, that is external fertilization and internal fertilization. External, you can understand, that is the fusion of male and female gametes takes place outside the body of the organism, outside the body of the female organism in the water medium. Example, sponges, fishes, and amphibians. These organisms, male and female organisms, leave their gametes, that is ova and sperms, in the water where fertilization occur in the water medium. So this is external fertilization, where fertilization occurs outside the body of the female organism. And internal fertilization, it is the opposite of what we discussed here. Here, fusion of the male and female gametes takes place within the body of the female organism. Example, reptiles, aves, and mammals. So we shall discuss about kinds of syngamy, that is fertilization. There are different kinds of syngamy or fertilization which are prevalent among living organisms. First one is autogamy. In autogamy, the male and female gametes are produced by the same cell or same organism, and both the gametes fuse together to form a zygote. Example, actinosporium and paramecium. So autogamy, that is male and female gametes are produced by the same cell or same organism, and both the gametes fuse together to form a zygote. Okay, and in exogamy, the male and female gametes are produced by different parents and they fuse to form zygote. So it is biparental. Example, human. Human is also dioecious and unisexual animals. And hologamy, it refers to that is the entire mature organisms do not form gametes, but they themselves behave as gametes and they fuse together to form mature individuals, is called hologamy. So we shall discuss about the different kinds of syngamy or fertilization. So there are different methods of fertilization. First one is autogamy. In autogamy, the male and female gametes are produced by the same cell or the same organism, and both the gametes fuse together to form a zygote. Example, actinosporium and paramecium. So in autogamy, male and female gametes are produced by the same cell or the same organism. Okay, so both the gametes fuse together to form a zygote. Okay, examples are paramecium and actinosporium. And exogamy, male and female gametes are produced by different parents and they fuse to form a zygote. So both of them are different from each other. That here gametes are produced by the same organism, but here exogamy it is by different organism. So it is biparental. Example, human. Humans are such individuals are also called dioecious or unisexual animals. So next one is hologamy. In lower organisms, sometimes the entire mature organisms do not form gametes, but they themselves behave as gametes, and the fusion of such mature individuals is known as hologamy. So here no gametes are produced. The mature organisms themselves behave as gametes and they fuse together to form mature individuals is called hologamy. Example, trichonympha. So we shall move on to the next slide. So it is about pedogamy. Pedogamy, here it is the sexual union of young individuals produced immediately after the division of the adult parent cell by mitosis. So here it is the sexual union of young individuals which are produced immediately. So individuals themselves, they fuse together. Okay, it's the sexual union of the young individuals, not the gametes, young individuals produced immediately after the division of the adult parent by mitosis. So it is merogamy. It is the fusion of small sized and morphologically different gametes called merogametes. Morphologically different gametes are merogametes which fuse together, which are small sized and morphologically different. So this is called merogamy. And isogamy, it is the fusion of the morphologically and physiologically identical gametes which are called isogametes. Iso means same, similar. Example, monocystis. It's a protozoan animal. So these are the different kinds of syngamy. We shall pass on to what other types are present in what other different kinds of syngamy. So this is called anisogamy. So it's a fusion of dissimilar gametes. Gametes are different from each other, which is called anisogamy. Next one is, it also occurs in higher organisms, but it is customary to use the term fertilization and instead of anisogamy or syngamy. So usually fertilization is the term which is used instead of anisogamy and syngamy, but all the terms are same in meaning, all refer to same meaning. Example, higher invertebrates and all vertebrates. So anisogamy is the fusion of the dissimilar gametes which occurs in all higher invertebrates and all vertebrates. And next one is conjugation. So it is a temporary union of the two individuals of the same species. Temporary union of the two individuals of the same species is called conjugation. During their union, both the individuals called the conjugants exchange certain amount of nuclear material or DNA and then get separated. So in conjugation, what happens is two individuals which are called conjugants, they exchange certain amount of nuclear material or DNA between them, then get separated. And conjugation is common among ciliates. Example, paramecium, verticilla, and bacteria. Shall move on to next one. So this is about what are the phases of life cycle. So there are three phases in life cycle: juvenile phase, reproductive phase, and senescent phase. Juvenile or vegetative phase, it refers to the period of growth between the birth and the birth of the individual up to the reproductive maturity. So it is the period between birth of the individual, between birth and the reproductive maturity is called juvenile phase or vegetative phase. Reproductive phase or maturity phase, we can understand the reproductive organs of the organisms mature so that they can produce gametes and reproduce their offsprings. On the basis of time, breeding animals are of two types. Okay, breeding animals, that is animals which reproduce, are divided into two types based on the time. That is seasonal breeders and continuous breeders. Seasonal breeders, it refers to organisms which reproduce at particular period of the year, such as frogs, lizards, most birds, deers, etc. So seasonal breeders, it refers to they don't reproduce through the year but only at a particular part of the year. So such individuals are called seasonal breeders. Example are frogs, lizards, most birds, deers, etc. Continuous breeders, it refers to organisms which breed throughout their sexual maturity. Example, humans, honeybees, poultry, rabbit, etc. So these are the organisms which come under this continuous breeders. It refers to they breed throughout their sexual maturity. No particular period in the year like seasonal breeders. So this is the difference between seasonal and continuous breeders. And senescent phase, it refers to the end of the reproductive phase when degeneration sets in the structure and functioning of the reproductive organisms. Reproductive organs. So reproductive organs stop producing gametes or reproductive cells so that they cannot reproduce their young ones. So this is called senescent. Okay. So we shall move on to the next one. So this is about what is parthenogenesis. So parthenogenesis, it refers to development of an egg into a complete individual without fertilization. So it's the development of the individual without fertilization. Okay, a egg into a complete individual without fertilization is known as parthenogenesis. It was first discovered by Charles Bonnet in 1745. It is of two main types: natural parthenogenesis and artificial parthenogenesis. In certain animals, parthenogenesis occurs regularly, constantly, and naturally in their life cycle and is known as natural parthenogenesis. Natural parthenogenesis, again of two types, that is complete and incomplete. Complete parthenogenesis, it refers to that is the only it is the only form of reproduction in certain animals, and there is no biparental sexual reproduction. So it is the only mode of reproduction that occurs in individuals, and there is no biparental or sexual reproduction. There are no male organisms, and so such individuals are represented by females only. And incomplete parthenogenesis, it refers to that is sexual, that is it is found in some animals in which both sexual reproduction and parthenogenesis occur. So in incomplete parthenogenesis, both sexual and parthenogenesis occur. It is not like it is different from complete parthenogenesis, that in complete parthenogenesis they depend on only this parthenogenesis, that is no sexual reproduction occurs. But here that is all are females only in complete parthenogenesis, no male organisms. But here both parthenogenesis and sexual reproduction both occur, which is called incomplete parthenogenesis. Example, honeybees. So in honeybees, fertilized eggs that is zygote develop into queen and workers, whereas unfertilized eggs develop into drones. So this is an example for honeybees, or the example for incomplete parthenogenesis. We shall move on to the next one. This is genetic parthenogenesis or pedogenesis. Here, the larvae produce a new generation of larvae by parthenogenesis. Larval forms, they produce new generations of larvae by parthenogenesis. It occurs in the sporocyst and radial larvae of liver fluke. So the larval form of liver fluke, which is called radia, so it occurs in sporocyst and radial larvae of liver fluke. Here, larvae produce a new generation of larvae by parthenogenesis. It is also seen in the larvae of some insects. Example, gallfly. And next one, it is about artificial parthenogenesis. Here, unfertilized egg or ovum is induced to develop into a complete individual by physical or chemical stimuli. Example, annelid and sea urchin eggs. Okay, with that, we shall discuss with the other types in the next slide. So we shall discuss about parthenogenesis. Parthenogenesis, it refers to virgin, that is parthenos refers to virgin, genesis refers to produce. It refers to development of an egg into a complete individual without fertilization. So it's a method of producing organisms without fertilization, which is called parthenogenesis. It was first discovered by Charles Bonnet in 1745. It is of two main types. They are natural parthenogenesis and artificial parthenogenesis. In some animals, parthenogenesis occurs regularly, constantly, and naturally in their life cycle, and it is known as natural parthenogenesis. So natural, the name refers to, that is naturally, it occurs naturally, constantly, and naturally in their life cycle, and it is known as natural parthenogenesis. And it is of two types. Natural parthenogenesis is of two types, complete and incomplete. In complete parthenogenesis, it is the only form of reproduction in certain animals. So it is the only type of reproduction, and there is no biparental or sexual reproduction. So there are no male organisms, and so such individuals are represented by females only. So this kind of reproduction is called complete parthenogenesis. But on the other hand, incomplete parthenogenesis, it refers to that is sexual reproduction and parthenogenesis both occur. So it is found in some animals like honeybees. So in honeybees, fertilized eggs, that is zygotes, develop into queen bees and worker bees, whereas unfertilized eggs develop into drones or males. So incomplete parthenogenesis, that is both parthenogenesis and sexual reproduction both occur. Example, honeybees. In honeybees, fertilized eggs or zygotes develop into queen bees and worker bees, whereas unfertilized eggs develop into drones or males. So we'll move on to the next one. This is also the kinds of parthenogenesis. This method is called pedogenetic parthenogenesis or pedogenesis. So the larvae produce new generation of larvae by parthenogenesis. The larval forms themselves produce new generation of larvae called pedogenesis. It occurs in the sporocyst and radial larvae of liver fluke. It is also seen in the larvae of some insects like gallfly. And artificial parthenogenesis, here unfertilized egg or ovum it induced to develop into a complete individual by physical or chemical stimuli. So there are some physical or chemical stimuli are used or to induce this unfertilized egg to develop into new individual. Example, in annelid and sea urchin, this is the method followed. So we shall move on to next one. This is mode of reproduction in higher organisms. So animals are classified mainly into three groups, namely oviparous, viviparous and ovoviviparous. Depending on the site of development of embryo, this is the classification done. So oviparous, viviparous and ovoviviparous, these are the three modes of reproduction. That is, this is based on the site of development of embryo and whether they lay eggs, that is unfertilized or fertilized, or give birth to young ones. So first we shall discuss about what is oviparous. So ovum, egg, and parere, it refers to produce animals. So egg-laying animals are the example for oviparous type. Here the young ones hatch from eggs. These eggs are laid outside by the mother. So the mother animal lays eggs outside the body, outside her body, that is in the environment. So these eggs hatch into young ones. So example, reptiles and birds. And another thing is their eggs are covered by hard calcareous shell. Invertebrates also, this is the method followed, even fishes and amphibians. But in invertebrates, fishes and amphibians, eggs are not covered by hard calcareous shell but covered by a membrane. So this is about oviparous. So we shall discuss now about what is viviparous. So this is vivus alive, parere, it refers to produce. So animals give rise to young ones is called viviparous. So viviparity is a type of development in which the young ones are born alive after being nourished in the uterus through the placenta. So the whole of the development, it occurs in the uterus of the female. So the female is also nourished by the mother through the placenta. The placenta, a special structure is developed, okay, in order to nourish the developing embryo. So the majority of the mammals, including human beings, are viviparous. So this is about viviparous. And last one, this is about ovoviviparous animals. So here the embryo develops inside the egg and remains in the mother's body until they are ready to hatch. So the difference between oviparous and ovoviviparous is that in oviparity, we have seen that oviparous animals lay their eggs outside the body, that is in the environment, outer environment. Then the development occurs inside the egg. Then after that, eggs hatch out. That is what we discussed already. But here in ovoviviparous, embryos develop inside the egg and remains in the mother's body. The difference is until they are ready to hatch, they will be remaining inside the body of the mother. So this method of reproduction is similar to viviparity, but here the main difference between viviparity and ovoviviparity is that no placental connection is there. No placenta present connecting the mother with the embryo. So this is the difference. Instead, this young one, developing young one, this is that is yolk, and the inside is the young one. So from the yolk, this developing young one receives its nourishment. So this ovoviviparity is seen in fishes like shark. Okay, so this is about in higher organisms. These are the three methods: oviparous, viviparous, and ovoviviparous. Oviparous refers to egg laying. Viviparous refers to giving birth to young ones, and ovoviviparity, it refers to embryos developing inside the egg, that is the inside the mother's body, and young one is nourished by the egg, and not it is not connected to mother through placenta. Only egg yolk nourishing the young one. So after that, when it is about to come out, the young one about to come out, this will be expelled out. That is, yolk with the young one is expelled out from the body of the female. So this is all about different types of reproduction.